So another edition of the Secure Dynamics TechCast. With me, I have both past guests. I have Wendy Pfeiffer, who is the CIO at Nutanix and board director at SATA Systems and Qualys. Welcome back, Wendy.
Hey, thanks, Ashwin.
And then I also have Venki Rangachari, also past guest, who is Vice President IT at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. Welcome back, Venki.
Hey, thanks, Ashwin.
So picking up the thread where we were talking about just before hitting record is really what, and I'll start with you, Wendy, from your perspective, what are the things that you see that were deemed to be, I'd say temporary when the pandemic first started, right? Hey, we'll be back late summer, and here we are getting into winter and there's no signs of this thing abating. If anything, people are getting more entrenched in their work from home. So I know you have put together certain things that you said were initially going to be transient, but now they're getting more entrenched. So talk a little bit about the journey and how that has evolved for you as an IT leader.
Yeah, I think the big thing has been this notion that the way that IT functioned in the past that worked pretty well is we would concentrate all of our resources in our hubs, in our cores, right? We would have large network pipes coming into our our data centers, and our offices would be provisioned to do everything from provision laptops to have servers on site. We had focus on application performance as consumed in certain substrates. And with the pandemic, especially with a very fast pivot to working from home, I've been calling it our network inside out transition. We just turned the network inside out, and essentially we needed all of that resource that we had concentrated at our hubs was now needed at our endpoints, at the spokes and at the end of the spokes. And so, in temporary terms, there's a lot of capacity available. There's a lot of capability that we're able to do some software defined things and pivot out to those endpoints. But over time, we are having to change how we manage in that new model. So, for example, we are now dependent on internet service providers in every geography, and we need to have applications and processes that are resilient to outages and bandwidth issues, things that we can't control in as granular a fashion as we used to. I don't even want to get into the cybersecurity discussion, but we went through sort of the death by 1,000 cuts phase of cybersecurity, where we had just so many endpoints and so many unknown and novel networks and devices and so on. And we're past those things, but managing those areas at scale, involves lots heavier reliance on machine learning tools and automation. Our people, we have the same size team, the same people that we had before. And so we've really had to shift our tasks and our focus to managing the many things and the many somewhat unique things, rather than the well-constructed, more uniform hubs and core. And we're doing that. I was just looking at a dashboard before I got on this call. 8 months ago, we performed about 28 to 30% of all of the tasks, all of the services that we delivered in IT were performed autonomously. And over the last month in my organization, we're doing about 58% of all of those tasks and functions autonomously. Now, prior to that, it was a slow dribble towards autonomous work. But the pandemic, and especially this explosion of many unique things and the optionality that a blend of enterprise and consumer environments creates, and this sort of hybrid mode in general, has led to an increased need for us to rely on software-defined things and interacting with these environments in logical ways that can be handled remotely. And so I'm actually excited about that statistic optimistic. It's something that we were hoping to get to over a 4 or 5 year machine learning automation journey that we've accomplished in less than a year, and it brings a tremendous goodness back to the organization.
So I know, Venki, you're a big fan of automation. You're a big fan of using analytics to move forward. So how has your world shifted, and what do you think are things that are going to stay forever?
I think, the need for productivity, need for automation was there prior to the pandemic, right? But I think the pandemic accelerated the digital transformation that includes automation. So I think IT as a service management shop, right? And if you look at the paradigm before, people went to offices, people went to their headquarters or branch offices to get information. You had information that they got, whether it be through collaboration in meetings or conference rooms, or through other means, right? Now information needs to be fed to them, right? And I think when you look at that, automation is the key, right? For example, if I have an ERP system that's doing core supply chain work, and if I need to find the order status of an part, then I should be able to have an automated way by which a bot tells me, hey, here's I can ask the bot, what's the status of my order, and it should be able to tell me automatically, right? And so we have developed an bot with an NLP capability that can go query things like SAP and other ones like ServiceNow to sort of give you that real-time status. And I think that's, I think it's getting to consumerization of IT. So started off several years with like the, Amazon Alexa or Siri, the world. I think that core, need for automation is also getting to enterprise software, right? You need the real timeism. People went to portals and people logged into these and got dashboards. And I think look at it the other way around. These dashboards should be fed to them, or if there's an escalation, they should know about it, right? And so I think there's a core need for automation to make us more productive. One more example I give you is that with the pandemic, we had a stimulus package that got passed first, and with that there was some interest rate abatement, right? And so HPEFS is it's a leasing arm for a lot of equipment for a lot of companies. So overnight we had to change interest rates across hundreds of thousands of invoices. Mm-hmm. So we had an automation way by which we could go there, modify those within like 48 hours. It would have taken probably 30, 40 days with a large group of people to sort of do that. So these are key areas where I think, the new methodology, it's not FANG. I mean, we know the FANG stocks of Facebook and other ones, right? This new era that we live in, I call it FAM, right? It's flexibility, is agility, is management, right? Mm-hmm. And so we need to be agile, we need to be flexible, and we need to have those tools that empower us to sort of do that.
So. Great. So one last question, I'll stick with you, Venki, for a minute, is if you were to, and I know you mentioned FAM, but from a workplace perspective, and again, I'm not just talking about HP, but in general, somebody in the IT coming into IT today, what one piece of advice would you give him or her coming in? Hey, this is the number one quality that you need to possess going forward if you want to make this a career.
Yeah, I think two things, right? I mean, one is customer experience, right? I think focusing on customer experience from an IT perspective, is paramount, whether that be delivering end user services, whether that be delivering applications to the business, whether that's be empowering your business, right? So having experience and knowledge in that is a very critical piece. And I think second would be, I would sort of say data, right? Data, you can call it information or data. Data is a way that can empower you to make better decisions. So the more they're familiar with data technologies, with intelligence technologies that can help businesses make better decisions, right? Those are two skills that I think are there for the future.
Same question to you, Wendy.
Well, I agree with what Venki said. I would add the ability to document, to describe either in diagrams or in words, the things that you're doing and how those things are connected, and the ability to read diagrams and documentation matters a lot. Those things are the foundation for our ability to automate and ultimately manage and monitor, and then take autonomous actions to extend and define. So, so many of us emphasize technical skills, but that documentation skill is paramount as well. And that's something that we're pushing on right now in my teams across the board.
Great. Yeah, great conversation. I know these are trying times for lots of people, and we still have to come out intact at the other end of the tunnel. So looking forward to continue to engage with you. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, Venki, for your time.
Sure. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.